Hi, everybody. How you guys doing? Good. Okay, so I'm Ray, and I work for an organization called Roadtrip Nation, and we send students on road trips. So a lot of people, they go, oh, a road trip. I know what a road trip is. You know, no, that's like it's like this, right? There's a lot of that. Yeah. And then there's probably a little bit of this going on, a little bit of that going on, you know? And for sure, there's a lot of this going on, you know? But I want to introduce you to a different kind of road trip. It's a road trip, one word, and it can be defined as an exploration of self-discovery, or it's to travel while defining your own road in life by seeking advice from leaders who live purposeful lives doing what they love. And so I've been on a couple of these road trips, and I just want to share my stories from that with you guys, but I want to take you back to the 6th grade with me for a minute. And so this is at a time where I realized I love poetry, and I'm always writing in my notebook, and it's a real passion of mine. And one day at school, my teacher says to me, he goes, "Hey, Ray, you know you have a talent?" And I was like, "No, you know, I don't have a talent." "What is it?" You know? And she says, "You have a talent for writing poetry." And it just blew my mind, you know? And I ran home that day after school. I go up to my mom and I go, "Mom, Dad, my teacher said I have a talent." And they're like, "Oh, that's awesome. You know, hey, what's your talent in?" And I was like, "I have a talent for writing poetry." And then they give me this quiz look and they're like, "Oh, that's great. You know, you just need a talent for something that matters now." Yeah. And so, you know, that's tough when you're young to hear that, and it planted that seed of doubt that something I thought was important didn't really matter, you know? And that's why these road trips are so important, because it showed me the things I'm passionate about, the things that I care about, they really do matter. And so I just want to show a clip here of a road trip that I took to New Zealand where we interviewed people from all walks of life, and we just talked to them about their stories and how they got to where they were at in their lives, and hopefully it would help us with the next steps in ours. So check it out.
If you're in the moment enough, and you feel what people are about when you present yourself, then roll with them, you know, because you've got at least 10 million songs inside you, you know.
I had my legs off on Christmas Eve, 1982. 23 years old, and you look down the sheet, down the bed, and the sheets end halfway down the bed. And it's like, right from that moment onwards, it was, wow, how can I turn this into an advantage?
Sometimes with bungee we see it as actually like a pinprick in time and space, and everything leads into it, and it's like a big funnel, you know, a big cone just going in towards this one pinpoint in time, which is the time when your brain says to your body, okay, now it's time to go.
3, 2, 1!
And then beyond that, it just goes into another funnel which just opens up into the rest of your life. So it's a point of intense focus that doesn't actually occur in our lives very often.
That's actually just like a small snapshot into the road trip that I took, but it's really hard for me to explain just the power of a road trip, because you're speaking to these people that you look up to, these people that you admire, people that you know that they'll do things in their lives that you'll never accomplish, but still they encourage you, you know, they empower you, they see themselves in you. And I remember like yesterday when DLT was like, "You have 10 million songs inside you." You know, after that road trip, I made a promise to myself. I said, you know, once I get home from this road trip, I'm going to make the life that I wanted for myself. Everything I'm passionate about, everything I care about, everything that's important to me, I'm going to go for it. And there's no hater, no hurdle, no naysayer. Nobody's going to stop me. And then, thank you. The day after I got back from my road trip, I got a call from my sister. And she said, "Hey, Ryan," that's my nickname at home. And she said, "Dad's cancer is back. And there's no more treatments for him. And you're going to have to move home." And you know, hearing something like that will just jar your world and spin you upside down. And I felt like all this progress that I had made about creating this life that I wanted for me was for nothing, you know. And I started packing up to move home in those coming days, and I started thinking about Mark Ingalls and what he said after having his legs amputated on Christmas Eve. You know, he said, "How can I turn this into an advantage?" And slowly I started realizing that I had an opportunity. You know, I had a chance. I had a chance to better get to know my dad. I had a chance to spend his last months with him. But most of all, I had an opportunity to go on a road trip with him. And so I got home and I spent those final months with him, and I listened to his stories. I heard about how he came from the Philippines to San Francisco, how he opened up his first pizza shop, you know, even how he proposed to my mom. And I saw him transform physically and mentally. You know, physically he was always this very proud, strong, stout man. And then he turned into this like feeble, frail little shell of himself where he had trouble getting out of bed. He needed help going to the bathroom, you know. But mentally he was in the finest form that I'd ever seen him. I saw him let go of his pride. I saw him let go of his ego. You know, I saw him find peace. I saw him find answers. And most of all, I saw him find like the most genuine smile that I'd ever seen him have. And so one day, he's at his bed and he's sitting up and he says, son, come over here. He's like, I want to talk to you. And he says, I want to talk to you about what's really important in life. He says, you know, son, all these monies and material possessions, he said, I don't want you spending your life chasing that. You know, that's not important. When I pass, I'm not taking that with me. He said, what's important is your family, you know, your friends, your loved ones. How did you treat other people in this world? Is the world a better place because you've been in it, you know? And at this point, like, I'm bawling, I'm crying, you know, because I realized, like, my dad's actually giving me his final advice, you know? And then he says, son, I want to tell you about my dream. He said, I've always had a dream to inspire people. And if I can't finish that, I want you to finish that for me. And 2 days later, my dad passed away. And it's like that moment that Henry Van Asch was talking about, that pinprick in time, that intense moment of focus that opens up into the rest of your life. And I started realizing, you know, that my dream had changed, my story had changed, that I wanted to continue my dad's story, and I wanted to continue his dream because now it was the same as mine. You know, the road trip has the power to shift your perspective about yourself, the world around you, and what's possible within it. You know, you all have the power to go on a road trip because the power of the road trip, it lies within its stories. It's not about the miles that you travel or all these places that you go. It's about the people that you speak to, and it's about the moments that you share. Each and every one of you is a storyteller. You each have an experience and a story unique unto its own. So therefore, your greatest teachers right now are sitting amongst you all right now. And I want to help you right now just facilitate like a small road trip. So I want you to think about these two questions. Think about what's one of the biggest fears you have in your life right now and why? And the second is, if you had all the money you ever needed in your life and you never needed another dollar, what work would you do for the rest of your life? Think about that, all right? So now what I want you to do is find somebody around you that either you're not that familiar with or somebody that you don't know. I just want you to shake their hand, and I want you to just get their name. What's up, man? Ray. Felipe, nice to meet you. Okay, guys. So this is what I want you to do. Now that you've introduced yourself, I want you at the next break, I want you to find that person at the break, and I want you to share a conversation with them. And I want you to talk about what is your biggest fear in life and why, and what is that work that you would do for the rest of your life. And the whole idea behind this is you don't understand the own power of your story and the power that that story has to connect us with each other. You have to understand that your story can spark someone else's journey. It can teach things about people, about themselves through your experiences. The thing you have to understand is there's 7 billion people in this world, and there's only one person that's lived through every single experience you have and walked every step in your shoes, and that's you. You're the world's foremost expert on yourself. And I really hope you understand the power behind that, and that you have a certain wisdom and experience that you need to share. And so I'll leave you with this. If only we dared to share the stories of our existence, then ignorance wouldn't be bliss, because we'd have found wisdom. So share or share not. Let your soul be a prism or a prison, because we all have life, but living isn't given. But just remember, when your road trip comes to an end, you'll be left to answer the question to yourself: how well was it driven? Thank you.